Hey guys, so I was supposed to do a video for May the 4th, Star Wars Day, but as you can see around me, we had to kind of move places because our place is being renovated, so we're gonna have this mood light thing going on for quite a while. However, better late than never though, and I still want to bring you something that I think Star Wars fans might be interested in. So THX 1138 is directed by George Lucas, was also written by George Lucas and Walter Murch, and is based on a short film by Lucas called Electronic Labyrinth THX 1138 4EB. That's the whole title. But this full-length movie stars Robert Duvall, Donald Pleasence, Maggie McOmi, and Don Pedro Colley. And THX 1138 takes place in a dystopian world, but we only really get to see it from this facility, where all the people in the facility, all the workers, they're all bald, they all wear these white uniforms. They're only identified by their codes. They have to take these pills that inhibit emotion and like stop sexual desire and all that. However, one of the workers there, LUH3417, who is played by Maggie McOmi, stops taking her meds pretty much, and she stops her roommate THX1138, played by Robert Duvall, from taking his meds, and they slowly begin to kind of awaken to the world of emotion and stuff, and they begin to have like their first taste of a romantic relationship, a sexual relationship. And then they begin to have thoughts of, hey, we should probably break out of this place. It's really, stopping this whole freedom thing. But like in, let's say, George Orwell's 1984, they're watched everywhere by these robot guards, so they pretty much have to go on the run, and we have our movie. Now, since May the 4th is pretty much the only, not really holiday, but it's the only special day I know of that really does commemorate a sci-fi movie. I was thinking, every year might as well try and go around and get to reviewing a sci-fi movie every May 4th. But I thought since this is the first, Star Wars Day I'm celebrating, might as well go with the George Lucas movie. And he had one more sci-fi movie before doing American Graffiti, before doing the Star Wars movies, and that's THX 1138. And I really wanted to watch this movie just to kind of see, if there's any Star Wars in it, just to kind of trace where did the whole Star Wars thing come from. And this movie's completely not like Star Wars at all. Like, trust me, it's pretty much an art house movie. Lots of comparisons with 2001: A Space Odyssey. But is this movie as good as Star Wars or 2001? I'd say definitely not. It's for me, it really does work better as a short film. Like, I haven't seen the short film, but I can imagine it working better as a short film. A couple of really weird things with it. However, I'd say it is still a movie that I enjoyed watching. There are a few things in this movie that are undeniably really, really well done. One of those things is just the visual look of this movie, because they use very minimalist sets, all in black and white. I mean, not the film itself, like the sets are all in black and white, and I think everything just looks fantastic, really. Just everything from the costume design to, again, like all the sets. You have your robot guards who are dressed in black, and they kind of look like Daft Punk. They have this like metal chrome mask and stuff. And it's just so interesting to me how they use this whole black and white thing, because people usually assume that it's just black and white means good and evil, but it's interesting to see how in this movie there's so many like little gray areas. You don't really know what to think of this place, and it's kind of tough when you're talking about dystopian movies. Usually, in terms of how they look, it's either they go with the whole post-apocalyptic thing where it's all ruins and stuff, or they go with the whole very clean look, black and white. But I really did think the way they used the black and white here was really, really great. It's all very fantastic, really, because it rides this line between being low budget and being like simple and clean. Doesn't feel cheap at all at any time. There's one sequence in this movie that I really have to single out. It's this sequence where THX 1138 spends time in like this detention room, and it's all white. It's like there's no walls, there's no like horizon or anything. It's like that episode in SpongeBob where Squidward is in the white room, and like when he runs out one edge, he comes out the other, and then when he keeps saying the word alone, like the word alone starts popping out everywhere. It's not that trippy, that doesn't happen. However, it did feel kind of creepy too. But Lucas really knows how to kind of, do visuals really well. Like, he's a really good visual director. And when he cuts from this white room to like the noise and the bustle of normal, world outside, it's really something. Also, if you watch the remastered version of THX 1138, there are quite a few more scenes with visual effects, improved visual effects, and they look really, really good. This movie also sounds very, very great, and part of the reason why this movie sounds great is because it has a lot of silence in it. And that doesn't work out all the time. However, I think that it works very well here in THX 1138 because, with all the silence and stuff, you really do feel like you're one of these drones, and that, your life is just pretty much a blur. One of the best things, in my opinion, about this movie is the way they use like random chatter in the background. Like, there is silence a lot, but whenever there's dialogue, it's usually just chatter in the background, just things that these drones picked up, on their days of work, just like a robot guard talking, or instructions being fed to them, and that all just really floats in and out of their heads, and you just hear that all kind of intertwine, and I think it's genius, really. Music does eventually kick into the movie, and I think it's very cool. It's very creepy. Also, it's very electronic again. In terms of acting, though, it's really hard to talk about this movie in terms of acting, because honestly, I can't really say anything about it, because most of the time these characters are supposed to be emotionless people, and I can't really tell if they're doing that well because there's no emotion. I will say that they're very dedicated to their roles because they never really slip. They're always very stoic and stuff, and so I guess I can give it that. However, in terms of directing, I really have to give it to Lucas though, because he directs both sides of this movie very well. Those two sides are the art house stuff, the very slow moments, and the other, like near the end of this movie, it gets kind of exciting, chases and stuff, and he directs both of those very, very well. But if there's anything that this movie has in common with Star Wars, it's that it shows that George Lucas really has this talent for world building, because this is a really big compliment I can give any movie, is that whenever you watch THX 1138, never do you feel like you're watching a movie. It always feels like you're in this world, and I think Lucas accomplishes that really, really well. However, like I said, there are a couple of things that I didn't like about this movie. For one, in terms of pacing, this movie is slow. It's really slow. And I get that sometimes. Some movies have to be slow, and I enjoy some movies that are really, really slow. However, here I really think you know, they could have used their time better. Because you don't need to spend 45 minutes of this movie, like half the running time, showing you how dull and boring the lifestyle is. Like you can be slow paced, just give us something to chew on. This is kind of forgivable though, since it's just kind of fun to see the minimal set design, to just listen to the sounds and stuff. However, my bigger problem with this movie is that, again, it really is better as a short film, I imagine, because there's not a lot of substance here, honestly. I mean, it has, and the premise has substance, it's just that it doesn't really go anywhere. There's a complete lack of characterization also, and again, I get that they're supposed to be drones and stuff, but especially THX and LUH, they're supposed to kind of feel emotion, right? But I never really felt that they became characters when they felt emotions. It still felt like they were blank slates, but they were just smiling and having sex. And also the plot isn't very fulfilling. It's not that art house in the sense that it's just supposed to be an observation of society in this dystopian world. It really does have a story, but the story doesn't really it's not very fulfilling because you don't really learn anything. You don't really see where characters end up. However, despite that, I will still say that THX 1138 is a pretty good movie, solely because just the visuals and the audio work on it and the direction from George Lucas is really, really great. However, be careful if you love Star Wars, if you love adventurous sci-fi fantasy movies. Be very careful going through this because it's gonna be completely the opposite of that. It's interesting to trace where George Lucas went, in his filmmaking career. So yeah. So that is my review of THX 1138. Have you guys seen it? If you have, what did you love about it? What did you hate about it? Whatever you thought, whether you agree with me or not, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.